What up, you nerds? Today we are going to quickly talk about the final shape and whether or not it's delayed, as yesterday there was a short little whirlwind of speculation that kicked up after a press release from Bungie. We're also going to talk a little bit about whether or not the final shape should be delayed. Should be an interesting one, so without further ado, why don't we dive right in. To give a little backstory, if you're completely new to the situation. Not too long ago, Bungie announced a lot of layoffs, which apparently not uncommon for the gaming industry in 2023, which seems like it's in dire need of some reform, but that is a topic for another day. While folks were reporting on the situation throughout the day, it was also reported that allegedly the final shape, the long-awaited conclusion to the Destiny Light and Darkness saga, was being delayed from late February in 2024 to June 2024, and Marathon as well being pushed from 2024 to 2025. The person who broke the story on these alleged delays was longtime industry vet Jason Schreier, who often has a fairly consistent history of accurately breaking big stories like this one. Just to name one example of something similar, Jason was one of the first folks in the industry to break the news about the initial delay of No Man's Sky. The point is, historically, he's usually pretty on the ball with this kind of stuff and has good inside sources feeding him reliable info. This led to a lot of content creators, myself included, talking about the alleged delay of the final shape, mentioning that while no word yet from Bungie, it was reported on by Schreier, which again, not a hard confirmation, but definitely not nothing. Jump ahead to yesterday, when a press release from Bungie was published on Bungie.net, highlighting the upcoming season of The Wish, dropping late November, including the latest teaser trailer, which, if you didn't see it, don't worry, you're not missing much. It barely lasts longer than me in bed. Anywho, people immediately locked in on the final paragraph of the press release, which mentions, quote, "The final shape expansion launches on February 27th, 2024, with all new episodes to follow." A lot of folks instantly took that as hard confirmation that the final shape is not, in fact, delayed at all, and the reported pushback to June was just a bunch of crap, which, to be fair, could be true. However, while the discussion about the final shape not being delayed was going down on Twitter, Schreier himself popped his head back into the convo to literally say, "Don't get your hopes up." And on that note, what do we make of all this? What is the deal? Who do we believe? Who do we not believe? Who are you? Who? On one hand, I've always been a really firm believer of nothing is confirmed until it's confirmed, kind of the gaming industry golden rule, which is to say, until we get hard confirmation from the source, aka Bungie, we shouldn't 100% expect that anything we hear from an outside source to be completely accurate. Not to say that we shouldn't speculate or talk about what industry journalists are reporting, but we have had situations in the past where things were, quote, reported on that turned out to be bogus or fell through. Also, a press release from Bungie is pretty damn official, all things considered. But on the other hand, Bungie's product page for the final shape now includes a statement that, quote, "dates and content are subject to change," when that wording was apparently not there on the website back in September. It's not entirely known when this text was added to the final shape product page, but it's kinda interesting considering the situation. Destiny Bulletin has also mentioned that they can, quote, "independently confirm per sources that the final shape delay was announced internally days before the layoffs." Regarding the date in the press release, I can only imagine that some press releases are probably scheduled in advance. Kinda like the doom and gloom tweet situation, which went up on Twitter the day of the Bungie layoffs. Gotta figure that tweet was scheduled to go up in advance, went up in a case of really horrible timing, and then was pulled when Bungie figured out it had gone out and people were awkwardly bathing in the irony. And with that in mind, it's possible that maybe the press release had been written and pre-scheduled to go out a while ago, kinda like the doom and gloom tweet. But really, at the end of the day, it's also possible that Jason Schreier is flat out wrong and was given bad intel from whoever his inside source at Bungie is. Obviously, we don't know who that source at Bungie is, because I'm sure they'd probably be in a ton of trouble if their name ever got out. Again, though, it's really hard to say because while I do hold the belief deep down that nothing is confirmed until it's confirmed, Schreier has a really good track record, and he's now doubled down on the situation publicly with no signs of backpedaling at all. In theory, Schreier getting something as big as the final shape delay being wrong could be a huge blemish on his track record, so I'm really interested to see how all this is going to play out. This raises the question though, if the final shape isn't delayed, then why hasn't Pete Parsons or Joe Blackburn or whoever come right out personally and said, hey, by the way, we've heard the rumors about the final shape and there's no truth to them. If the final shape isn't delayed, why not take the immediate opportunity to ease the fears of the community and squash that big ugly rumor? A few people I've spoken to think that despite the press release, Schreier is correct and that Bungie is simply waiting for the right time to drop the announcement that the final shape will eventually be delayed. Why wait? I mean, who knows, really? Maybe waiting for things to cool down a little bit more following the wave of layoffs. Maybe waiting for some other announcement to accompany the final shape getting pushed back. Kind of a good news, bad news type situation. Some folks think that Bungie is waiting for their filler content to get fleshed out a little bit more before officially announcing the delay. That is to say, some reports that mention the final shape delay also talk about there being some kind of supposed filler content to help hold the community over until June. If the higher-ups at Bungie, for whatever reason, aren't ready to come out with the news that the final shape is delayed, it only makes sense that they'd want everything to carry on as usual in the meantime. AKA, nothing is changing until we officially say that it is, just carry on doing everything the way we've always done it in the company as usual, including press releases with unchanged dates. Or, again, maybe this is all just a bunch of bullshit speculation and everything is on schedule for February like normal. And on that note, I want to ask the question, should the final shape be delayed? Hypothetically, let's say that you were in charge of the future of D2. You are now John Bungie CEO. If you had the option to push back the final shape by one full season to make it better than it is right now, would you? Not really an easy answer. The answer to that question would probably depend on how much is currently packed into the final shape and how it currently rates on your own scale of 1 to 10, which we can't really know without looking at it, which we can't. But if the goal is to make the final shape an absolute banger of an expansion on the same level as Forsaken, then I don't know. Yeah, I might push the delay button if I were in charge to make the end of the saga as good as I could possibly make it. It would 100% suck to have a half-year-long season of The Wish, but we've gone through long content droughts before, and if it helps us end the Light Dark saga with a bang instead of a whimper, I think I'm all for it. To those players out there who have been playing since day one, we've put a lot of ourselves into this franchise. At the end of the day, yeah, it's just a game, but so many of us want this part of the franchise, the finale of the saga, to be everything that it could and should be. Having this 10-year saga end with a half-hearted fizzle would be such a monumental disappointment, rivaling, I don't know, the end of Game of Thrones. Sorry if you're still carrying around that baggage, by the way. Lord knows, a ton of people, myself included, were let down by Lightfall. In summary, I liked the visuals and I liked the weapons, but the campaign felt really incomplete, like a long, strand tutorial, and the Root of Nightmares raid did not live up to the expectations of the diehard contest mode raid fanbase. But Lightfall could just be a bumpy, messy road, which eventually led to a great finale. If, though, at the end of the day, it were up to you to delay or not delay the final shape, what would you do? What would your answer be and why? Let me know down in the comment section. I'm genuinely interested to hear what you have to say. Thank you very much for watching. I will keep you posted on the situation if we get any more news regarding the release date of the final shape, and I will see you in the next one.